James Sunderland.
Madam Deputy Speaker, when the gun stopped in 1918, at the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, the curtain effectively fell on the most devastating world war that we've ever seen. I've never understood why we called it the Great War, because there's nothing great about warfare whatsoever, but it may just be that that greatness refers to those who fought in such appalling conditions and gave so much. Exactly 100 years ago today, the unknown warrior was interred at Westminster Abbey, and the poppy is still worn today with so many people with pride as a memory of the appalling circumstances of Flanders Fields and elsewhere. Today, and many more wars later, Armistice Day is commemorated by so many people, but for different reasons. For world leaders, politicians and dignitaries, it's about marking democracy, about marking the freedoms that we have and the sacrifices that were made. For veterans groups, it's about coming back together in solidarity to mark their service and their comrades. For veterans like me, it's about thinking back on former colleagues, friends and soldiers, many of whom are no longer here with us today. For families, it's about handing medals down and wearing them with pride. And for the rest of us, it's simply about saying thank you. For me, one of the most poignant experiences of my life was last summer in June at the D-Day 75 commemoration in Portsmouth. It was a spectacular, magnificent event, and it had everything. Royalty, presidents, chancellors, prime ministers, fantastic flypasts, ships in the Solent, brilliant stage shows. But for me, it was all about those wonderful veterans. And there they were, resplendent in their immaculate uniforms, polished boots, polished medals, shiny brass, and the twinkles in their eye matched only by the brilliance of the sunshine. But talking to these heroes in their 90s and 100s, living legends, two things really struck me. The first thing was a sense of fuss. Why all the fuss? Why is the government and all of these nations going to so much trouble for us? A sense of bewilderment. We were just doing our job. Well, funny thing, they did their job, and fantastically so. And also, bizarrely, a sense of shame. And when I scratched the surface with many of these fantastic people, it was a sense of shame that they'd lived long and fulfilling lives when so many of their friends and comrades never came home. And that, Madam Deputy Speaker, is exactly why we remember these important events on Armistice Day, to pay homage to those who've gone before and to those that we owe so much. Before I finish, I want to make some very quick points which I believe are relevant to today. Firstly, I was proud earlier this year to introduce the Desecration of War Memorials Bill to this House with my good friend from Stoke-on-Trent North. It is absolutely right that we bring this legislation into law. Secondly, the government in its manifesto of 2019 was quite clear that it wanted to bring the Armed Forces Covenant into statute. Well, I absolutely endorse that and support it, and I look forward to the bill coming to this House in January or February next year. I will be supporting it, along with the APPGs, I'm sure. And lastly, I'm absolutely clear in my mind that when you serve as a soldier in this country, you wear the uniform, you bear arms, you serve the crown and go on operations. You are British wherever you come from. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to make the point right now that this nonsense regarding visa fees of Commonwealth soldiers must stop. I also hope that we can be magnanimous in giving an amnesty to our Fijian friends who still suffer today. And lastly, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here myself after many years of service. And I thank all of those who have gone before. Thank you very much indeed.
Flora Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's an honour to follow the member for Bracknell, and I join with him in hoping that we can achieve an amnesty for the Fijian soldiers who have suffered from bureaucracy and have lost out greatly as a result. And it's also an honour to follow from the member for Beckenham, who's contribution was very, very moving indeed. I joined the service in Roehampton on Sunday. It was a very small but very, very moving service at the memorial on Putney Heath, and remembered the names of all those who had died during the wars. And I also remembered the loss in my own family. Madam Deputy Speaker, there's a sadness at the heart of my family, and it stems back to a moment in 1915 when a military wife, my great-grandmother, stepped off of the boat. She was 6 months pregnant and had